So when you look, Andy, at the games that Sony is talking about, the system, what's going to be new and different, I think the one thing you have to think about here is Microsoft, are they going to end up pulling something like the Wii where they're just going to go to this mainstream audience with all this stuff, and it's like the gamers aren't going to be the ones that win or lose this next war because Microsoft's betting on a bigger pie? Is that something we should be thinking about?
I don't know. I think that's part of Microsoft's mixed messaging. You
Right.
know what I mean? I think like they're right now they're making games for core. 2 years ago they were all about Kinect games.
Yeah.
There wasn't one Kinect game showed on
Yep.
stage, right? And they're making the thing that they say, hey, this is how people are going to view future and TV in the future. So I think it's very confusing for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know what they're going to stick with. I think we know they're going to make Halo. They're going to make great games. They've got Titanfall. They're going to bring us great games.
Yeah.
It's a question of how long their commitment is to that. How long it is to building and really building up these studios. When you talk about Killer Instinct, which by the way is kind of a joke to me because we waited for it all this time. They own Rare and Rare's not working on it.
Right.
It's free to play and you get one character.
I heard about the developer like a few weeks before the show. And I was like, oh, man, what? Wait, what?
Yeah.
What is
Down in Orange County or something.
That once again
Foundation 9.
is bad messaging. If you get Rare and you have someone from Rare who's like, I started Rare,
Right.
I think Killer Instinct is great, this is what you should be playing, that's the messaging gamers want to hear. You know what I mean? They don't want to have two guys get on stage and be like, wow, this fighting's really fun, we're crazy.
Yeah,
And
and also launching and supporting a fighting game today with the way that community likes its games, the way that tournament scene works,
Right.
You really have to be dedicated to it. And I just don't know that Microsoft is willing to put in the effort to really make that happen.
Divekick is going to destroy Killer Instinct.
Absolutely.
As far as what that community goes, it is no
It's
doubt.
very hard to tell from software when you see it at E3. I think
Right.
there's been a lot of memes out there showing before and E3 shots, actual release shots. I look at games. It's very hard for me as a developer to look at the games that are coming out because I see them and I immediately think as a designer what I do, and in my head I pretend that that's the game coming out.
Right.
But who knows from 15 seconds, a minute or two of video what actual game is coming out? It's very hard to say what's going there. I think what's important is that you have a scale.
Yep.
And on one side of the scale you have $100 more of hardware. Let's move it up, right? That's not good right now.
Yep.
But you also have added functionality. You have a Kinect.
Yep.
You have a plug in the back for HDMI to come in. You have a few other things that Microsoft is doing that they say is the future.
Yep.
So the question is, prove it.
Yeah.
If you prove it, you have $100 of gap to fix.
Yeah.
Or fix the gap.
Yep.
Those are the two things that Microsoft can do, aside from all the other issues that may come up between now and then. If we were locked in time, that's the ball in Microsoft's court. Prove it's worth $100 more to have those things.
Yep.
Always online. Why? What does that do for us?
Yeah.
For example, well, it updates your console at night, so you never have to sit there and wait for an update.
Right.
Why isn't anyone saying that?
Right. They sort of are, but yeah, it's
that's worth to me something.
No, but when
not $100, but it's worth something.
Absolutely. Let's get back to Sony before we wrap this up. Let's talk about the games that they had, because as I mentioned, there weren't that many new game announcements. They went very quickly through some of the. Killzone Shadowfall, I think their big launch title. Only had a minute or two in the briefing. They had Infamous Second Son that you had on the cover, Andy, recently. What do we think of the games that they're building? That sense of Last of Us is coming out this week, which is an absolutely incredible game. Which there's nothing broken about that. It's just an amazing experience. These new games look great, but the PS3 has great games. Is there a worry that gamers might be just like, I know it's only $400, but there are a lot of great games I can play now. Play Call of Duty,
Is there
Assassin's
something
this fall.
about being always online that can make the next generation better? Is there
Right.
something about the Kinect that can make the games better? These are the things.
And what
that
about
would
for
make me
PS4?
say,
What is that thing?
okay,
Because I think the games look better, but that leap for the actual games is not as big.
They're only going to have 500,000 units from each one of these. I'm just guessing. There's going to be 500,000 units from each of these. They're all sold. I know people are arguing about prices and what they are now. They're all sold.
Yep.
GTA 5 is coming out. Batman's coming out. Black Flag will be on. All the biggest games over the last 3 to 4 years are all coming on current gen. You can easily put together $400 or $500 worth of buying games on this generation, holiday season.
You want to make your big titles come out before the next generation is launched.
Yeah.
We now know when next generation is going to get launched. So everybody that's been slipping and sliding and not fixing dates has a fixed date now. I dealt with this at THQ. You can only go so far before you're into the shadowed by the next generation because it's out. So everything's going to come out this year. But GTA 5 could have gone another year if it weren't for a new console. So we have to bring it out right now. We actually have to bring it out.
And I think those will come out. Those will be great. We have time. A lot of the big studios are waiting until 2014 to really show some of the titles. I think Sony did focus on those titles in February and kind of just gave them a quick pass today to show their partnerships. I mean, I think showing that they had Elder Scrolls Online, showing that like online games are going there. They announced last week that PlanetSide 2 is going to be available, free-to-play game on PlayStation 4. That's a big deal. I thought that was a big announcement.
Like Warframe, it's like there's a lot of stuff. That wasn't even at the press conference.
I think it was easy to go into this show saying the new generation hardware isn't going to show us a lot of interesting games. I came away from a day, I haven't even really walked the floor, it just opened up, saying there's actually a lot of stuff out here I want to play. And a lot of new games, non-sequels, a lot of stuff. It's a good launch.
And it's good.
We're usually sitting here saying there's not enough launch stuff. Now it's like there's 67 here, 51 here at last count. It used to be like 4.
And
remember that? Like there's 8. 3DO launched, there was no software for like a couple months.
And it was $900 or whatever. But I think another thing that's really interesting about that too is that and I forget this, because I forgot this when I reviewed GoldenEye. I forgot with Halo, because I was like, I've been playing Doom like forever, right? You know what I mean? Like I'm a PC guy. I knew what first person shooter, I knew what LAN parties were. I was all about it. But when the mainstream finally found that GoldenEye was like, we can play 4 guys on a screen? And I think with next generation, when people start to learn the way that they can do things with online, when you talk about like public quests and like Destiny, like I know like public quests, and I was like, I am excited about public quests. Most of the world doesn't know what a public quest is. You know what I mean? Like when you talk about an MMO or a free-to-play game, these guys don't know what they're going to get, what they're going to get for free, how much that means to them, how much value there is in that. And I think there's going to be a lot of people when they go get these systems, they're going to learn about that and be really fascinated by that new world.
I hate to beat a dead horse, but if you have to be online every 24 hours, which as I agree with you should not be a mandate or whatever, but if you have to be online sometime, then you have the possibility to be online. Currently, it's a majority now, but it's only a little more than a majority of players on these consoles are online. So anyone who's building a game can't really focus on it without cutting out a decent percentage of the possible market who aren't online. If you force it, the games for a forced online console will take advantage of them, and it just might turn out that's really cool, and those games end up being really interesting, and people say, hey, I actually don't mind being online.
We got to cut you guys off here, get some scores, keep on time. Let's start back with you, Jeff. What's your score you're going to give to Sony?
You know, I never thought I would give another press conference A again. But okay, yeah, all right.
A.
It was so crazy. I mean, I'm not even real big into Sony first-party software.
Right.
Yeah,
there weren't that many new games, but they had so much.
I think a lot of that stuff looks, pretty plain, pretty standard. But they have so much variety, and by pursuing, Octodad was on a press conference stage. It's crazy.
That was a great moment with the indies. All right, Andy, what's your score?
I'm just echoing Jeff again. You know what? And the thing is too, I didn't really feel like there was a ton of kind of plants in the crowd.
Right.
I mean that cheering from the people was pretty real. I was pretty shocked that the industry, like analysts, journalists, were getting that into it when they made those announcements. And they, you know what? They set the gauntlet down. It's Microsoft's turn. Like I love it. Let's have a war. And so let's get it on.
It was awesome.
I'm in.
Jason?
Yeah, I feel really. I didn't see the whole thing. As I said, I was in the car for a few minutes of it, so I don't want to grade it. Look, if you based on the reaction,
better than Microsoft.
Based on the reaction, they beat Microsoft. It was a big day for Sony. There's no question about that. And as you said, the ball is now in Microsoft's court. I don't think it's over. At all.
No.
I think that's an overreaction. It's not based on historical precedent. E3 doesn't set the tone for the rest of the. But right now, Sony had a fantastic show.
See all of our shows and game reviews now on the brand new GT app on Xbox Live and the GT Originals iOS app too.